Checkpoints to Video Game Book Club podcast. Today we're discussing Black Mesa. I'm your host Marcus, and joining me today, as always, is the homie. We got Trevor.
What's going on?
And since this is a guest-chosen game, I can go ahead and introduce the guests, and it is my homie Jonas. What's up, Jonas?
Hey guys, how you doing? Excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about Black Mesa, man.
I'm glad you're here. I'm going to introduce the game first, and then we can talk about why you chose the game. Is that cool?
Sure thing, yeah.
Okay. So, Black Mesa is a first-person shooter developed and published by Crowbar Collective. It is a third-party remake of Valve's 1998 debut title, Half-Life, and was originally released as a free mod for Half-Life 2 in September 2012. The original Half-Life won over 50 PC Game of the Year awards and is considered one of the most influential first-person shooters, as well as one of the greatest video games of all time. The Black Mesa project was initially announced in 2005, shortly after the release of the Source Engine port of the original game, and over the course of its nearly decade-long development cycle, the game was overhauled and redesigned several times, and even includes a multiplayer. It was featured in several video game publications, and received direct attention from Valve themselves, and despite gaining most of its notability due to its long development time and countless delays, it did receive positive reviews from critics despite not being released in a complete state. Praise was mainly directed towards the gameplay and attention to detail, comparing it to that of an official Valve release. The gameplay of Black Mesa is reminiscent to that of the original game. The player controls Gordon Freeman, a scientist at the Black Mesa Research Facility in New Mexico, as he navigates through the complex after a botched experiment with alien material goes wrong. The core gameplay consists of fighting alien and human enemies with a variety of weapons and solving puzzles. Just like the original Half-Life, the player has almost complete uninterrupted control of Freeman, and the story is told mostly through scripted sequences seen through his eyes, a rare occurrence for games at that time. And the main additions that Black Mesa brought to the table were an entirely reskinned collection of textures, models, and NPCs. It was noticeably longer, and there's additional dialogue and story elements. And I'm going to kick it to you, Jonas, so you can kind of explain why you chose Black Mesa. Why did you do this to us?
Wow, all right. So, I've been a fan of the Half-Life franchise for quite a while, so the day that I got my gaming PC, I also got this one collection that Valve threw out a couple of years ago, more than 10 years ago probably, which was called the Orange Box. And that had Team Fortress 2, which is what I got that pack for, because it looked like a cool game.
It is.
Yeah.
That is my game.
Yeah, I play that game so much, dude. Like, after it mellowed down with Team Fortress, then I started to check out the other games, but then started playing Portal, right? Because
that's what I got it for.
Yeah, because it was like, when it came out, it was like this kind of meme game because of the cake. And I liked it so much. I liked the story. I was like, all right, let me check it out. What else is there? So I started reading, and then I saw that Half-Life 2 is part of the same universe as Portal, right? So I played that game, Half-Life 2, Episode 1, and then Episode 2, and that just blew my mind, man. So I kind of got introduced to this franchise on reverse, because Portal was the latest iteration of that, I guess, canon. Then Half-Life Dev Half-Life 1. When I played Half-Life 1, which at the time, it had inferior graphics, it was way shorter, I absolutely fell in love with that game. Like, Half-Life 2 is great, don't get me wrong. I love the gameplay, but we were talking before the podcast that you wanted me to talk about the story, right? I just kind of like me seeing what happened before Half-Life 2, and I got that context playing Half-Life 1. I guess I kind of understood the story better, but you know, I chose this game because this is like a fan-made version of Half-Life 1 with Half-Life 2 graphics / physics engine, right? Mm-hmm. In my opinion, after playing it, I know I don't want to like spoil anything. I don't know if you liked it or not, but at least for me, this is the best Half-Life game that I've played.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I think I like it more than the official Valve games because you got the gameplay and stages and just flow of the game of Half-Life 1, which is what really set it apart from the second one. This feels like a complete game, whereas Half-Life 2 definitely feels like it's segmented into different chapters, different things that are going on. This is like an entire journey that Gordon Freeman has to go through on a normal work day that you don't even know what's going on. Boom, something blows up, and you gotta fix it, right? The stages are great. I love the setting. It feels like I'm fighting through Area 51 or something like that. I love the whole, the government is trying to suppress this thing that's happening at this lab sort of vibe. It kind of feels like, I don't want to go too into conspiracy theories, but it does feel like this is something that you kind of read about. No, you don't read about things that happen like this, but you kind of imagine, whoa, this is like not that much sci-fi. This is like a thing that, pretty cool. I wish like I kind of knew more about the science behind it, because this story has a lot of like science background on it. But overall, I love this game. I don't know about you guys. You guys can tell me. Be honest if you hated it.
So, before we go into criticism, I do have one question. So y'all mentioned this is like a recreation of Half-Life 1, but is it considered like an official part of the Half-Life universe?
I believe I read at one point that Valve does consider it like a approved iteration of the game.
Okay.
But this game adds more to the story, whereas me as a Half-Life fan, I consider it canon. I think they did a great job connecting a lot of stuff that happened in 2, and mostly characters. You see a bunch of characters here, especially at the start, that are in 2, but you never see in the first game. So you kind of like... You know how in the second game they're like, Gordon, nice to meet you. Remember when we used to hang out so much at Black Mesa facility? And then you play the Half-Life game and you don't ever see that guy, right? But in this game, you kind of see the guy at the start,
So were there any like legal hurdles for them to like create this game and put it on the market?
I don't believe so. I think that Valve was pretty cool with it from the start. It did take a lot of delays. The game was also free at one point when it first came out. I
was gonna say, just based off what I had read, the development of the game, because it was Valve came out with Half-Life 2 in 2004, and then they released several of the previous titles. So they released Half-Life Source, and it was a more updated version. And I think.
It didn't do anything, by the way. The Source engine, it was just adding the physics, but the graphics were pretty much... Like, there was some texture changes, but it wasn't as pretty as this one, you know?
But I was going to say, I think that's when they officially started the project in 2005. And so, like, when it did come out in 2012, it was a free mod for Half-Life 2. And because, I think Valve was really cool with them doing it, because they did give them some press while the game was coming out. So, I feel like they had to have been cool with it, because they sell it on freaking Steam now,
Yeah, well, think about it. Valve is a company that before they got big with Steam stores and stuff like that, they were pretty much, most of their big games were fan mods at one point. So, Team Fortress, I think that was a mod of Half-Life 2, right? Or Counter-Strike. And Portal was a mod of Half-Life. I'm pretty sure of that. And then Half-Life itself, I think, was made on the Quake engine, right?
I think I'm
not entirely sure, but I think it would be kind of. And then Dota, of course, Dota was a Warcraft mod.
And then there's the fact that they put out Gary's mod, so people could like create. And don't they have like you can use our assets to create like kind of silly videos and stuff too?
Yeah, the Source filmmaker. Yeah. And overall, if I think they really don't have a choice to kind of like be crappy at the developers for this game, because they've neglected the Half-Life franchise for a really long time now. And I think that me playing this game kind of gives me a little bit more hope that they can...
Somebody's working on something.
They can sort of make... even if I get a fan-made version of Episode 3, I don't know if you guys heard about the...
You want Episode 3 over Half-Life 3?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So, all right. this is still on topic, but basically, the writer for Half-Life, and I may be wrong, and sorry if people are listening like cringing at my incorrect information, but there's the writer of the Half-Life franchise, or one of the main storytellers. His name is Marq Laidlaw, right? So this guy, he was like sort of like a standby employee at Valve. Like, he was the writer, but all those years that they didn't make episode 3, and he was like sort of hanging out. Then he kind of got laid off, and he released an unofficial script of episode 3, not Half-Life 3, of episode 3. And it kind of ties in with the Portal universe really lovely as well. And I want to see... There's this one part where they're talking about basically a teleportation device, which also links it to Half-Life 1, but, you know, the Black Mesa facility and the Lambda, they were making this teleportation thing. And that experiment went wrong, and that's when the whole Resonance Cascade happened, right? But they kind of tuned that... technology, and they were transporting an actual like cruise ship called the Borealis, right? So the Borealis not only does it start traveling through space, I believe it also starts traveling through time. I may be wrong on this, but episode 3 has the script that he put out talks about he's going, like, they're stuck in this warp state between different places and different things. I want to see that on a game. You know, like I think that would be so cool. So that
got released or leaked a year ago, right? Or
it was pretty recent.
Yeah, I do remember hearing about that.
I do remember feeling emotions, like, man, you know, like, come on, guys. So that's episode 3. We know Half-Life 3 probably exists at one point or another. So this is just the thing that goes before that game. I want to see that, you know.
Gotcha. So let me rein it back in a little bit, Trevor. For you, what is your background? We've heard Jonas's background with the Half-Life franchise. What's your background with Half-Life?
So I had no idea that it was connected to Portal, but I've played both Portal games, enjoyed both of them thoroughly. As far as just Valve games in general, I played the Orange Box. TF2 was my game. I put hundreds of hours into that game. But never even touched Half-Life. And I think I've had the games in my Steam library for a while. I don't know anybody with Steam who doesn't have Half-Life in their library. So
I don't.
I think at one point I bought like the Valve collection or something like that. Just because all the games that I didn't have in it were like 20 cents or so. But yeah, never touched the games. So, and before we started playing this, I had no idea that it was a remake of the first game. I thought it was just like a fan-made mod, like telling their own story or something like that.
So wait, you didn't even know until just today? Just now?
Well, I was reading about the game a little bit before we started recording, but yeah, this is news to me.
Well, for me, kind of like them, I got the Orange Box, and that was really my first introduction. I wasn't a PC gamer, so I got it on 360, and that's my first introduction to Valve. And I had got it for Portal, and I loved Portal, and then that kind of made me a Valve fan. And I didn't really play TF2 that much, and then I ended up a long way around it. I think, Trevor, you same way maybe. Like, I got into Left 4 Dead, and I really liked the Left 4 Dead series, and then I realized, like, oh, like, these are the same people that, you know, like, are put out this Half-Life game, and I have the Orange Box, so I think one summer break or spring break for school, I ended up playing Half-Life 2 and the episodes 1 and 2 off of the Orange Box, and I really did dig them. I really liked it, and I just, because I didn't have a PC, I was like, I just won't ever play Half-Life 1, so playing this has been a nice way to kind of come full circle and kind of see not that I remember Half-Life 2, like the story, but just seeing like what led to the events of Half-Life 2 and just seeing the characters and just that world. So this was a good opportunity to come from the beginning, and I'm glad that we got to play this game because there's been no way that I was going to play Half-Life 1, especially looking at the screenshots of it I've seen.
I feel like I must interject here.
Go ahead.
It's not actually a full circle yet.
True.
There is a chapter that is still not completed. So the
Zen?
yeah. And
Okay.
that's like the coolest part of Half-Life 1, man.
Is that after the events or at the end of Black Mesa? That
Yeah, so you know how it ends and it says status postponed?
yeah.
So they're still making the Zen part of the game. I think that they're making it into an actual game. Like I think because this game, from what I haven't understood and from what I was reading, what I was told, it's not a 1-1 recreation of Half-Life. They added more content and they added more story elements. And there's a lot of stuff that I remember. There's a lot of stuff that I don't remember. But overall, it still feels with the same quality and care as the original one. Like it does feel like a Valve product.
It does feel like a Valve game.
Yeah, like I don't even. That's why I was saying like I cannot wait for when they release the accent part of the game, because I think they're gonna have a little bit more creativity. Do you guys want me to tell you what that's about, like in the story?
We can, sure.
So basically,
actually. So I beat the game. Obviously, you beat the game, Jonas. Trevor, do you remember how far you got?
I think it was like a little ways after like one of the twists, where basically he gets knocked out.
Yeah. So you made it pretty far already. I think you got like 3 hours.
Yeah. 3
Yeah.
hours left.
So you already
It took me longer than that to get there.
No. I mean, like after that, I think you got 3 hours of gameplay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So you're already out. You're already out of the complex. So that's good. So yeah. What were you saying, Marcus?
Oh, I was just saying, Trevor. Are you cool with him?
Oh yeah, I've already watched the rest of it just to get an idea of
cool.
what I'd be missing.
Yeah. Then go ahead, Jonas.
So. You asked me to sort of like talk about the story, so I think I'm gonna like piggyback this and then run off to what the extent was about. So the story goes like I like the story because it definitely doesn't tell you what's going on; it just shows you what's going on, you know. And you kind of draw your own conclusions as to why things are happening, but you can kind of tell by what the interactions you hear, the guards talking in the background. But essentially, Gordon Freeman is a scientist.
Time out. Can we do a quick experiment?
Sure.
So can Trevor tell what he thinks the story is, and then I will continue from where he leaves off, and then you can tell us what actually is the story?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You want to do that, Trevor?
Sure.
Okay, so go.
So is this the part where like where he gets knocked out?
No, I'm saying, so you just talk about the everything you play, like what's happening in general, and then I will try to piggyback the parts that you did play after, and then Jonas can tell us where we were wrong.
Okay, so from what I gathered playing the game, Gordon Freeman is just your everyday average scientist going into another day of work. Greeting everybody, seems pretty well liked. But then you find out he's, I don't know, maybe has a little bit more pull because he has the special job of putting on the suit and getting to the machine, or not machine, but the room where they're with the machine in it. Something goes wrong. A lot of the scientists have barricaded themselves off and are waiting for rescue, and they think they're getting ready to be rescued, but I guess the military or whoever is coming in to cover the tracks on what's happened at the facility. Maybe some Area 51 stuff. Am I in the ballpark?
Okay, so
I think you're good.
Yeah, you're good. Do you got anything else, Trevor?
Yeah, the aliens and stuff. Like you said, it opened up some kind of portal, so you have the aliens kind of making their way, like when they spawn in to different parts of the facility, which was something I didn't understand. Like, how is it contained in that facility if they can kind of teleport? But yeah.
Okay, so kind of just reiterating kind of what Trevor had said, at least from my perspective, yeah, it's like Gordon Freeman definitely has some type of position of authority or power just because people do greet him and say, hey, Freeman, or whatever. They're waiting for you at this specific area, and he's like the guy that is wearing this suit. It's called the HEV suit, the hazardous environment suit. And he's supposed to go into this test chamber that there's a problem in the test chamber, and I guess he has to reattach something or reset something up or turn something on. And it basically, the machine goes haywire. I think there's some type of explosion, and it creates this like rift or portal. And so the facility is on lockdown, and there's these weird alien creatures that are teleporting into the facility that's locked down. And like you can kind of see, I think one of the first rooms that you go to is there's a glass chamber that a head crab teleports into, and like this, the scientists are like looking at it, like, this is fascinating. What is it? Like, I really want to get a close up look at it and everything. And later on, you go back to the room and you see the head crab, I think, is on the guy, and it's just like tearing him up. And then you're like, basically these aliens are like hopping into portals or just being teleported into these rooms and attacking the scientists, and you basically have to kill these aliens. And then so like the scientists start holding themselves up, and the government's supposed to come and save them. And then these soldiers show up, and you like the very first scene you see, this soldier show up, and like the scientist runs to him and is like, "Thank God you're here." And then the soldier just unloads on the scientist and kills him. And I guess their objective or their goal is to like shut down and thwart any attempts to just basically keep everything under wraps and not let the story or people get out that this thing happened. And I don't necessarily know. I think, in my estimation, I think they're trying to keep this alien. I think they're trying to either get alien weaponry, or there is alien weaponry, and they're trying to keep it under wraps that they have this technology or whatever. Whereas you, as Gordon, I think you're trying to get out the facility, and like at a certain point, the soldiers, you can hear over the radios that they have like direct communication that they have to stop you. And like, it's kind of cool because the scientists that are holed up in the facility and the security guards, they're also like somehow communicating with each other, and they're helping you along as well. And at some point you shoot off a rocket. I don't know why. You start fighting some dudes outside. You start fighting some even crazier aliens, and like the aliens are fighting the humans. And so it's like, you're seeing this conflict go on, but you're also a common enemy with these two. So like, that's kind of interesting. And at some point you have to jump through a portal and the game ends. All right, Jonas, how do we do?
I think you're pretty good. I think both of you are pretty spot on. So basically what's going on here is that that's cool. I never heard anybody actually like talk about how they think that Gordon Freeman is in a position of power, because at least the way that I interpreted the story, I thought that he was more of like a beginner in what's going on here, and that's why he has to put on the HEB suit and like do the dirty work, quote unquote. That's just how I saw it. It's pretty cool that like two people had totally different ideas about the same character, you know. But yeah, he is treated with respect, but also like some people are like, "Oh, you're late again, man. Like, are you for real?" You know. So yeah, this guy gets to his work one day. He has to do this test. I believe that they do this test regularly, right? Because they're like, "Oh, this is business as usual. Let's just do whatever we do." Like, I think he's supposed to be there. Maybe this is like a weekly meeting inside that room or something. So he's late, right? We don't know why he's late. But there's a thing, like there's a theory or a thing that you guys saw the G-Man at the start. Did you guys see the G-Man running around?
No,
you didn't see that, but you know who G-Man is, right? Like,
I just know he's the bad guy in Half-Life 2.
Oh, we don't know if he's a bad guy. That's the thing. He's just a mysterious figure. So
yeah.
So all throughout the game, you see this mysterious guy he's just like an older man with a suit. He looks like one of the agents in the Matrix. You know, he looks all serious, like a government agent. Agent Smith, right? So at the start of the game, before you even put the suit on, you can actually see him talking on a meeting room with another scientist, and like if you keep staring at them talking, which if you see their reactions, you kind of see like G-Man is in sort of a position of power, and like the scientist kind of has like he's like reluctant to follow whatever this guy's talking about. Then if you keep staring at them, this is a nice little Easter egg. The scientist looks back at you like, "Oh, you're hearing into our conversation," and he like closes the blinds. So that's a pretty cool, thing to sort of like set the mood, right? Like there's some secrecy going on behind the scenes.
I think I remember that, but I didn't know he had any significance.
So yeah, if you can sort of see him walking around all throughout the game. I don't know if he's actually in every chapter, but in a lot of chapters you can see him walking in the background. You see him like on some far off stairs, like he's watching you all throughout the game, you know. But you don't really know why. But you get into the office or the lab that day, and they talk about how they have this new material or some new kind of like thresholds that they want to try. They're doing some last minute changes to what would be a normal test in this laboratory, which I looked it up, and it's called the anti-mass spectrometer. So this just basically analyzes materials and like I guess atoms and stuff. I don't know. Thing is, they did some last minute changes in this lab, and this anti-mass spectrometer is the catalyst for what is sort of like a dimensional rift between our world and this pocket dimension called the Xen, right? Throw forward, not a throwback, throw forward to Half-Life 2. Think of it like a sandwich where our reality is where, you know, Gordon Freeman is hanging out. There's the Xen, and between us and like after the Xen, it's the Combine world. So if you guys remember Half-Life 2, the Combine, they kind of like enslaved humanity, or not enslaved, but you know, they're like oppressing humanity. They got to our world because the Xen was the jump off to our world, right? So this thing happens, this last minute changes. You don't really know what's going on. Something goes wrong. You have this hazardous suit. You clearly have military technology or background or something. So it's up to you, Gordon Freeman, to sort of like try to escape. As you try to escape, you realize that the military is trying to kill the story, like you said, and they're killing all the scientists and guards. So you are kind of like in the middle of the military trying to kill/blow up the facility. The aliens, which now have an access to our reality because of the failed experiment that we did that morning, are now going like teleporting through dimensions to our dimension, fighting this war. Like they're trying to like invade and like take over our world as well. The military is fighting against the scientists, the aliens, and Gordon Freeman, and you're also fighting against everyone else, right? The scientists are helping you out. And basically, you asked about the rocket. That rocket, I believe, was a satellite rocket that you're trying to like signal another lab. I think it was the Lambda, another lab that, hey, this is going on here. the story can't actually be killed because once they fired off that rocket, they got word out of what's going on. So that's what the rocket was for. After you launch that rocket, that's like the first submission. Like now the military can't actually like kill this story, right? So now you have to get out of here, right? So they tell you that there's a plane or something that's leaving one of the facilities. Once you get to that facility, they're like, oh, forget about Freeman, let's just leave. So they leave and they leave you stranded. But you find another group of scientists that are actually trying to like kill, like undo the mess that they made. Now, this is really important. This is not the first time that the Black Mesa facility has contact with the Zen world. If you see sort of closer to the end of the game, you see that they were actually experimenting on a lot of these alien life forms since long before the experiment went bad. So the scientists at the Black Mesa research facility somehow found a way to already get to that dimension, and they were pulling life form / technology from the Zen world long before everything happened, and that's the part where you kind of see some monsters in some cryogenic tubs. I don't know if you remember that part.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like experiments of the scientists that they've been experimenting on these aliens. So the story kind of shows, like, it doesn't outright tell you, but it kind of just shows you that all this is happening because these scientists were meddling with something that they didn't understand or couldn't control. But also, this is what my theory, and I think a lot of people share this theory is that somehow the G-Man was pulling the strings all along so that this rift in the dimensions happened, and basically we had access to the Zen, but the Zen didn't have access to us. So it kind of like they got access to us after that failed experiment, right? So that's what I think the story is about. I think like these scientists were messing with something they didn't understand, and the Zen world kind of found a way, or something found a way, so that everything just went wrong. And you, as Gordon Freeman, you have this sense of urgency. That's what I like about this game more than the other games. You have this sense of urgency that something is effed up. You need to like get out of here, but you also need to like help the people around you find out what's going on, and overall just, you know, be a total scientist badass or something. Oh, and there's another part that they were not only were they jumping dimensions and getting these alien life forms and experimenting on them, they were also developing teleportation technology. So that links into what Portal was. So here at the end, we see some teleportation orbs, whereas Portal is more of I don't know if you remember this in Half-Life 2, but they it was cool. They sort of made a comparison where if the Black Mesa / Lambda facilities were making teleportations, as in you taking the actual object and bringing it to someplace else, the Portal Aperture Science technology was more like opening a shower curtain and going through reality, and you go through whatever is made of that portal device and you get to where you want to go. So there were two conflicting technologies with the same purpose. So that's another cool thing that I didn't really remember from the first Half-Life, that it tied into Portal 1.
Okay.
Yeah, so overall, yeah, I love the game. The game is not... the Zen. I forgot about the Zen. So yeah, at the end, you see the scientists, and they're like, hey, I know that you want to escape, but we can actually nip this in the bud, and we can like kill the mother brain of all these aliens, and we can like sort of like get this over with, and let's just do it, right? And you, as Gordon Freeman, you kind of have no choice, and you jump to the Zen world through this portal, where in this Zen world everything is just crazy. It looks like this weird low gravity alien world, looks like something out of a 70s psychedelic trip in a movie or something. So once you're there, you're like surrounded by way more enemies. It's way more dangerous, I guess, but you eventually get to the mother brain of things. You blow it up. Then when you blow it up, you kind of get kidnapped by the G-Man, and you're kind of forced into accepting a contract where you're kind of playing to his rules, and you get teleported to the future, and that's when Half-Life 2 happens 20 years later.
Okay.
So, yeah, so for Gordon Freeman, it was all like Half-Life 2. Everything happened, then just snap like that. He wakes up in Half-Life 2 20 years later.
See, I was thinking when you go into the teleporter, that's when Half-Life 2 started. I didn't know there was a section in between. So that's why I was thinking it was full circle. Because I was like, oh, obviously you jump through this portal and then you're starting to Half-Life 2.
Yeah. So that's cool. Sort of like you don't really miss anything with Descent because you already get the gist of what happened on the first one. But oh yeah, and then there's a really cool part in the original game where after you kill the mother brain, you're kind of like surrounded by a bunch of the beefy alien guys. Like they look like Toro from Mortal Kombat, you know, which you know. So you get surrounded by them, and then Gordon Freeman saves you, and then that's what happens. Great game, I love it. So be honest, guys. From a 1 to 10, what do you guys give it?
Well, we gotta talk about the game first.
Okay. Go ahead.
He said, "I'm the guest. I'm running the show." What?
My bad. I get excited.
I do have one story-related question that may not have been explained in the game.
Yeah, you can go ahead and ask.
Where does Gordon Freeman get his training from?
I don't know.
See, so I don't know that, but like. So me and you thought he was a higher up, but hearing Jonas talk about it, it does make more sense that they were like chastising him, saying he was late, and the fact that he's the person that if you're a scientist and you're like not necessarily expendable, you wouldn't be the person to put yourself on the line in the line of fire as far as wearing the suit to do some dangerous job. So he may be like a soldier, more like, I don't want to say soldier, but not necessarily like some type of scientist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, he is a scientist, though. He's
an intern.
Yeah, I think he's like. So, check it out. I googled his wiki, and he's a research associate. So that's not a senior associate. That's not even a junior associate. You know, just a research associate scientist. So I think he's like, you know, sort of like like an intern, right? He does have a PhD. He is a graduate of MIT, earned a PhD in theoretical physics. So there you go.
He just was really interested in guns in college.
No. The way I imagine it is that maybe he had some military training before. He's 27. Maybe he went to basic training or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
It does. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my impression. He did sort of seem very comfortable around guns, so yeah. All
right, so you good? You ready to talk about the game, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So you start the game off, and you're walking around and everything, and like this game had a super duper slow beginning. And I was like, I don't really know what I'm getting myself into, because you're riding like the tram, and it's just giving you, I don't even want to say story beats, but it's you're getting to see the entire facility, which is really cool. But you're like seeing credits and like hearing this stuff going on, and it's just like, wow, this is gonna be like you're really going underground. If that gave me a sense of like, wow, you're really cut off from the rest of the world.
It was really deliberate the way they introduce you to this facility.
Definitely.
Kind of like Area 51, right? Like it's just like a mystery, but from the inside.
Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was really cool because I had no idea like what to expect, but I knew we were going to be in some it was going to be corridors and facilities. There was going to be a lot of computer consoles and just a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And then you start off and you're walking around, you're meeting people. You have to you have to run to people. And the first thing that struck me was there's no objectives. There's no you just need to know where you need to go, or I shouldn't say know where you need to go, but you just kind of have to just walk around until you get to where you need to do. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. It doesn't outright tell you you don't get like a pointer in a map.
You don't get an objective.
Here.
You can't pause it and see like, okay, what? Because like I was
where am I going? Yeah,
exactly. Like not even just that, but just like if I was to play this game and then maybe not come back to it for like a week and then just be like, okay, where did I leave off?
Oh man, that happened to me in my first playthrough.
Oh my god!
You know the part with the spies. They're not spies, but
the assassins.
The assassins with the guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I first got them, which by the way, they changed that part from the first one, and I would know because I remember that because I got stuck on that part. That part, it's not only is it changed, right, but overall, it's just the whole thing, the whole shebang of what's going on. You kind of have to get some context from speaking with the guards and with the scientists. Now, you don't actually have to talk to them, and you can pretty much miss a lot of these people, and you can like skip quote unquote like context of what's going on because you can definitely just rush through the game. Not rush through the game, but it's very linear in the way the maps are laid out, because since they don't actually tell you what to do, sometimes you don't have a choice but to just go forward and see what you find, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I get you on that. And then this game did a way better job at explaining than the first one, believe it or not.
Really?
near the end of it, where you kind of have to fill up some tanks to get to the core.
Oh, yeah.
So that part, I actually understood that part way, way, way better than in the first game. I don't know why. But it was just like visually, it just clicked. And a lot of stuff also clicked because I played the game before, but I do remember that the first time I played it, I was often very lost. So I agree with you on that.
Okay. Yeah, like it just was very different. It definitely, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it definitely made the game feel a little bit more like, oh, I'm playing an older game. Even though this is a remake or whatever, it didn't feel like a modern game because it wasn't like there's like, I'm not even asking for a map or like a waypoint or any like navigation, but just like not even knowing like what is my objective exactly. Yeah. Like that was very jarring.
And you can miss it because a lot of the objectives are in the dialogue and in the banter between the scientists. So the first objective is to launch the rocket, right? To launch the rocket / get on the plane to get out of here. But you don't actually ever read that. You just overhear a scientist talk about, we need to launch this rocket. Can you help us out? But that's it, right? That's it. So unless you actually like, you just gotta like read everything, hear everything. It's really easy to like get lost, like in a literal sense, get lost in the map. That's what happened to me a bunch of times.
It definitely happened to me in the beginning of the game, but like it kind of like, I know you didn't play this game, but I don't know if you felt this way, Trevor, but it kind of like reminded me of when we had just played Forgotten Anne with some of those puzzles where like you would be talking to a character, the character like the train puzzle in particular, where it's like he tells you how to solve it, but you're just talking to him and it's a cutscene and he tells you how to do it. And then if you weren't paying attention to what was going on, then you would miss it. And then you're just like, oh, what do I have to do? And then like you can't go back and read anything or anything. You just got to play around till you figure it out. And that's kind of how I felt with this game as well.
I was very annoyed at the fact that the AI was all over the place. I don't know about you guys, but I just it did feel a little bit off compared to an action. That's when I realized that it was a fan game. The AI would they would act like I don't even know. They would like get on a wall, like they would think they're in cover, but they're like in plain sight. I don't know if that happened with you guys. The guys that follow you around would get like just stuck in like a box or something, and they can't escape. So I was a little bit annoyed about that. I don't know. What do you guys think? It does feel like an older game, but and that's not a bad thing because another reason why I chose this game is that I've been itching to play like a single player FPS campaign for a while, and I kind of want to like I've been thinking about Halo for a long time, and this game kind of reminds me of Halo. I don't know if this is heresy or not, but what do you guys think? I Kind of gives me the same vibe in that campaign side of things.
Heresy.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, answer the first part, Trevor. Did you feel? What did you feel about the enemy? What you're talking about, the teammates, or you're talking about the
both?
Yeah. What do you think about the AI?
In the beginning, it was a little annoying because, just like the intro, the game kind of started off slow, and the enemies that it gave you were really kind of predictable, and it was monotonous, like kind of killing enemies and going through the levels, because there wasn't really a challenge with them, with the like the initial enemies, the ones that like the parasites that latch on to the host.
The head crabs.
Yeah, and
the zombies.
Yeah.
Basically humans that had a head crab attached to them, so now their head is replaced with a head crab head, and they're basically zombies.
Like Secto, if you will. But you said, so just the AI is what you're...
Yeah, teammates and the other one, the enemies.
I didn't get a really strong impression of the AI from teammates.
You just don't remember, or
not really.
There was a couple of sections where you would
follow you around.
Yeah, they would follow you, like Gordon. Like, I want to do this thing, but I feel safer.
Scared.
Yeah, I feel safer with another person with me, and then they'll follow you around, and you basically could potentially have them with you for a specific section, but they can die. So.
Maybe that's why I don't remember them.
That's what I was gonna say.
You could. I think you can even kill them, which is sad. I accidentally killed a scientist. He was like in the middle of a sentence. I'm pretty sure I missed something. He's like, "I'm so scared of guns, I'm not living here." And then I was like, I clicked, but I wasn't clicking to kill him. I was clicking to choose another gun, but my current gun just killed him. And this is my confession on there. No, I'm kidding. So I'm not. When I said that this was the best Half-Life game, I mean it in the sense that you got the best of both worlds. You got the graphics and engine of Half-Life 2, and you got the setting and I guess the weapon / combat of Half-Life 1, which is what I really liked. I liked the whole dynamic between the military, the aliens, and you. But the game definitely does have... I found a bunch of just weird graphical glitches, especially with screens. I don't know if it was just me, but that's when I got I got reminded a couple times, oh, this is not actually a Valve game. This is actually a fan game. Because, I would see a random alien in a rock, and he's stuck there. He no clip there, and he's And I would see there's this one part with a missile that you have to fire the missile to basically turn over a satellite or something, like a tower or something. And that part was super glitchy for me because the screen kept showing a bunch of artifacts in the middle of everything, and I couldn't actually see where I was firing. So yeah,
I don't know if I ran into anything like that. The thing I was going to say, at least in regards to the AI, I did feel like the AI, the teammates were just kind of... They were non-existent. They really didn't help out.
Not at all. They would die really easily, right?
My biggest complaint was the enemies you fought. Depending on the enemy, they had the longest line of sight. And
dude,
shooting around corner, the I don't know what what were the aliens with the one eye called?
The Vortigaunts.
The Vortigaunts could just snipers. They were just snipers and
in this game I hated the ones that shoot acid, the
bulwarks, or what are they called? Bull something.
Oh man, whatever they are, not only when they first appear, I don't think you actually have the shotgun.
Nope.
So you either have the little gun or the revolver.
The Glock and the revolver.
Yeah, and then the Glock is bad. It's a bad weapon. I don't know about you guys, but it just does so little damage.
It was good when you were fighting the head crabs and the zombies, but after you see the first Vortigaunt, it's not worthless, but it's just like, why would I want to use this gun besides like conserving ammo? And like like in the beginning of the game, you run around with the crowbar till you get a gun. Then that's like my primary weapon is the gun. And then the moment I had like at the end of the game, it was like in the middle of the game I was running around with the MP5 or the machine gun.
Yeah.
But the moment like you get to the end game, I'm like shotgun or I'm like mandatory. You have to run around with the shotgun.
Yeah, the shotgun is probably the best weapon in this game, I think. But I forgot about the weapon that like the alien weapon.
The homing one.
The homing one is actually pretty broken.
Did you get the homing weapon, Trevor?
I don't remember using that one.
Okay, so then you didn't get the. Okay, I'm trying to think. What was the last gun? Did you got the
Did you got the spinning thing that you kind of like blast off with energy?
Yes.
I don't think you actually. Oh,
there's two energy guns. He probably got the first one, not the second.
Exactly. Yeah.
The laser gun. You got the laser gun, right, Trevor?
Yeah, I was trying to remember because that one was more like I didn't really like it because I guess it was more like a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
But I kind of stuck with the shotgun even after getting it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did too.
I don't think that gun was good at all.
I don't think it's good either. My favorite gun or weapon was the crossbow, but you just don't have enough ammo with it because those things take out people.
I only use those for the assassins because I don't want to. They move too fast for me to waste time trying to hit them with many bullets. I just gonna like one and dumb them.
Yeah. So the thing I liked about it, and this is another complaint, kind of going with what I said, is the enemies had such a big line of sight, and I didn't feel like you had any gun to combat them at the ranges that they could see you at, minus the crossbow because it had a scope. And that's why I use the crossbow so much. Is like I think the enemies, the AI was ultimately bad because they stood still a lot. So it was easy to hit them with the crossbow because they weren't moving. But it was bad fighting them because the range that they could start seeing you and shooting at you was way further than I feel like would have been possible. And there was also instances, like there's one section in particular where you're coming up out of the sewers and you're climbing up these ladders, and there's like two different routes you can go. And no matter what, if you crawl up either ladder, I know this because I died a bunch. There's three enemies that have their back to you. As soon as you get up, they turn around and start shooting at you, and there's a tank that's shooting at you too. And it's like, Jesus, I didn't make a sound. Like how can you guys already know I'm here?
Yeah. And the opposite of that, there's another part that's also outside where I'm like standing behind them, like almost like two people apart, and they don't hear me or know that I'm there. Jeez. But that was just with the humans. I think that if we're complaining about the human AI being bad and the guards, I think the aliens were too smart, man. Like the little faceless dogs would find me anywhere.
Yes.
They would find me anywhere.
What are those things called? I can't remember the enemy's names. I'm gonna pull it up.
I don't remember those. I know they were like sound dogs or something.
It started with a T, I think.
They were really
hound eyes. It's hound eyes.
Hound eyes. The good thing about them, you can one shot them with the shotgun.
Yeah, or with the Magnum too.
Or with the Magnum. And I think the Magnum was probably the weapon that I used the most because I was trying to practice getting headshots on a lot of these enemies, right? And you can headshot the Vortigaunts and stuff like that. And you were saying that for the really long long range enemies, you use the crossbow, the revolver. Sorry, I didn't mean the shotgun. I meant the revolver. The revolver is really good.
Yeah,
long
it's
range
good.
enemies.
It's good. Yeah.
So that's what I mostly use because usually they would kill most people in 2 or 3 shots. I found myself without ammo with that gun.
That's why I ran around with the shotgun because I felt like the shotgun you always you never were like low on ammo with the shotgun.
Yeah.
And also like
near the end.
I was gonna say the other thing when I tried to use the assault rifle later on in the game, it was like it shared ammo with the pistol. So like if you were like there was one section when I used the pistol to shoot out all those little ceiling aliens.
Yeah.
And so I'd always take those dudes out, and then like I would take out like 8 or 9, and then I'd look. It takes 5 shots to kill one, and then I'd go to my assault rifle, and I'm like, I have like 50 something bullets left. I'm like, damn, like where'd all my ammo go?
Oh wow! So the revolver, the Glock shares ammo with the machine gun.
Machine gun.
I did not realize that. That's crazy. I never used the Glock. That's the thing. I use the machine gun so much.
Oh no, because I always use the Glock to take out those little ceiling aliens.
Yeah, that's annoying. I don't think in very few games would I like my handgun ammo to also be my machine gun ammo.
Well, if that's the case, we played another Vanquish. Vanquish is also like that.
Oh, dude, I played Vanquish on PS3 way back when. Yeah,
that's another one where they share ammo. Certain weapons share ammo, so you have to choose one or the other because you can't use both.
I mostly use the machine gun, but nearing the end, I found it so useful to use the bombs. I used every bomb. I used the grenades. I used the mines. I used the C4s. All of them were good in their own regard. I don't think I've ever used so many like trap-like weapons as much as I did for this game.
The did you get to the assassins, Trevor? Did you fight the assassins?
No. Actually, that was.
You should have fought one. Like
like right after you wake up.
Yeah, I think you go up an elevator, and then there's a guy like Gordon. Good thing you're here, and then he gets like assassinated. Like so against those, like I was stuck at that part for like 2 days because I had like 20 something health when I started that section up.
Oh, dude.
And it's just like, if you're out in the open, you automatically get bodied. So what I ended up doing was throwing trip mines out, and I just kind of hid in a corner, and then...
so you use the trip mines against the assassins.
Yeah. So
that's impressive because
I
never thought about it.
Yeah,
I was so frustrated with them. I remember when I told you that I got stuck on a part for a while and then I forgot.
Yeah.
It was that part with the assassins.
The first one?
The first one, yeah.
Because the first one, there's only I think there's 3 assassins or 4.
I think they kill you faster on the first one. I'm pretty sure.
Well, the second one, there's more. There's like 6 assassins the second time you fight them. But that part I felt like was easier because there was more hiding spots. Like it was more, it was like a labyrinth. And so like I just ran around and put trip mines, and I backed myself up into the elevator thing and had my gun out in case somebody ran up on me. And then I just
see that's what a good player would do. What I did, I had 100 health, so I just stood in the middle of everything. Waiting for them to come at me, and then I would shoot them with the crossbow and absorb the damage. I was like, I cannot. But I definitely remember that specific part being way harder on the first game. Maybe I'm just bad, but I think they killed me faster on the first game. And this game is so annoying when it autosaves with little health.
Oh my god!
At one point, I had 3 health, and I was stuck in. It was that one. How do I say this? The air vent or something. So I'm in the. I'm crawling in the air vent, like Metal Gear style, and they have these little roaches that they're so fast. And
the later end of the game, those super fast ones.
Oh my god!
I know exactly what part you're talking about.
I must have died like at least 20 times.
I died a bunch there too because I tried to use the crowbar on them to not use ammo, but there's so many of them that every time you get hit,
they're
you
too
lose
fast.
Like four damage.
Yeah, they're too fast. They do more. I think they do more damage than the head crab, right?
Yeah, they do. Like,
why?
Can I tell you something? Like, so like, how did you guys play? Did you guys play keyboard and mouse or controller?
Keyboard and mouse.
Keyboard and mouse.
So I played controller.
Oh wow.
And so I was running in the difficulty. This was another one of my complaints. Is I felt it was very, very difficult to aim in this game. And I know it's because I was using a controller, so I'm not like trying to hold it against the game. But like the shooting and just like I wasn't as precise as I wanted to be. And I got like I'm a little embarrassed to say, but the section when you're going down the elevator and those head crabs are coming down, it's like very early in the game. I died at least a dozen times there. Because I could not, for the life of me, hit the head crabs with the crowbar. And, like, I don't know if I was just, like, obviously I was mistiming the swing, but, like, also just how high I needed to be looking in order to make sure the swing hit them. And that was, like, a consistent thing throughout my playthrough where if I would miss swings with the crowbar, I would miss rocket launcher shots on tanks, I would always, like, oftentimes shoot over the tank instead of at the tank. And like I did not feel like the shooting, and it might be just because I played with the controller, but I did not feel like super competent in the combat in this game. I liked the weapons, but I just didn't feel like they were in capable hands at any point.
So you were missing with the rocket launcher, you said?
I was shooting over my targets with the rocket launcher.
Oh, but did you use the laser homing?
So I found out about that later, and that definitely helped. But there was a couple of times where like I would use I would turn the laser thing off because I just wanted to shoot quickly at something ahead of me and get quickly behind cover. Because I think with the laser thing, you have to, like, stay...
Yeah, you have to actually, like, look at it.
Yeah, so, like, with the tanks, there were certain times where you were so close that you would get hit by the machine gun fire.
They will instantly fire. That's crazy. That's the fastest machine gun ever.
Yeah.
They would know where you were, and they would just fire. Yeah.
So, like, the part I was really stuck at was that part I was talking about with the sewers, where you would climb up the ladder, and there was, like... 3 guys with their back to you, they would instantly see you, and the tank would instantly see you. And then it's like I had to take out these 3 guys while the tank was shooting at me. So I would have to find a corner, and then I would keep on having to peek around the corner and shoot a rocket, but I couldn't do the laser thing because I didn't want to stay out and get hit. Yeah. So I turned the laser sight off, and I'm standing like maybe 20, 30 feet from the tank, and I'm shooting over it for whatever reason. And it also happened, too, when it was further distance. Like, I think there was a section where you were fighting the alien... I can remember it, but you may not remember. It's like those aliens that have the homing weapons. There's like 4 of them standing on the road, and you're outside, and they get bombed by this helicopter or airplane that's flying overhead. And then you keep walking forward, and then this tank comes from outside of this tunnel and starts shooting at you. Yeah. And
that's probably my favorite part.
I shot over that tank so many times.
That's the part that's outside, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's my favorite part. Like, once you get out of the lab and you get outside and you cross the dam, I love that part.
Nah.
See, because I was thinking maybe, and I'm not trying to talk crap at controllers or anything, but... For a lot of FPS, they have like the aim assist, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think this game actually has any of that.
I don't think so either.
I think that this being like a remake of Half-Life 1, they went like full remake. Like it also has the bad side of earlier games, you know?
Yeah, they're definitely... I don't think there was any controller support initially, or at least I'm not aware of. But I ended up having to find, because it was very frustrating because I did feel like when you play a Half-Life game, what is it, the 1 through the keypad or the number pad is the
WASD?
No, the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you choose your weapons.
Yeah,
and you could like use 1 through 9, right?
Like 1 through 5 or 6.
Oh, okay. Because like for me, I had to you had to cycle through the weapons.
Yeah.
So to use the that last laser gun or whatever, you had to go like right on your D-pad like 3 times or 4 times.
So this is the first time in probably any game that I started using that switch method with the numpad. I will only use the wheel scroll on my mouse.
Oh, really?
But this is the first time that I was just like, I currently have the revolver. I need to get to that one that you mentioned, the laser one.
Yeah.
That means that I will have to like almost like scroll an entire like Twitter feed worth of wheel movements.
Yeah.
Let me just press the 4 3 times, and I'm good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine how hard that must be on a controller.
It was just really wonky to switch weapons in the middle of combat. So a lot of times I found myself like using the weapon that I had until I got behind cover or something.
I think this game would benefit from having a Metal Gear style like pause on time while you're switching weapons, you know?
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
in the heat of the moment, you can't think about what you want.
The end of the game when those dudes are coming in on you, and I'm just cycling through my heavy weapons, and I accidentally miss the one I'm trying to get to. So I'm just still running around swapping weapons, and it's just like,
But overall, I think that like this game has the cooler weapons other than the second one, because I think that the second Half-Life game, they were
Come on now.
What do you mean?
You already know what the best weapon in this series is.
The gravity gun?
Yes.
That's the thing. They pushed the gravity gun so much on the second one, where a lot of the puzzles and everything that you did was centered around the gravity gun. Whereas this game kind of like it just like throws whatever at you. There's no one gun that sticks out from the rest of them on a like deeper scale. But on the second game, I mostly just use gravity. I would shoot people with barrels all the time.
Exactly.
So that's cool. Don't get me wrong. That's cool. I love it. But this does feel more like a Halo style.
Yeah, it does. Low key, I was sat like not knowing. I was like, "Yo, when are we getting the gravity gun?" That's what I was thinking the whole time, not realizing that the gravity gun's unique to Half-Life 2. I was gonna say, I just realized there was a glitch that I had to deal with. That the freaking flashlight. That I had or lack of flashlight. So
what happened?
I played the first 6 hours of this game without a flashlight.
Oh my god!
It was literally there'd be like when you're in the
office complex.
Yeah, but when you're in the what do you call it, the air ducts, the vents? My screen was completely black, like it was turned off.
Oh my god!
Because there was I couldn't see anything, and it's a bug that they have in this game. And the fix that I had to do was I had to go into the command prompt on the menu screen of Steam and type in these 2 lines of code, and then it would make the flashlight work. And so I definitely I'm not a computer savvy individual, and I definitely had to
Google it.
Yes, I had no idea what was going on, and it was crazy because the game told you, oh, you need to hit F or whatever to activate your flashlight. So I on my controller
and then you look at your pad.
yeah. So on my controller
trying to find F.
It was it was triangle, and so I was smashing it, and nothing was happening. So I went to my keyboard, I was hitting F, and nothing was happening. But I could hear the click sound effect. So I'm like.
Oh,
I can hear it.
So you actually knew about it. You just couldn't, it wasn't working on your game.
Yes, it wasn't doing anything.
Oh, damn, that sucks. Oh,
yeah. So there was a part that I was stuck at where it was the part where you had to go through. It was pretty early. Well, it was there was a pool of water, and then there was this electric cord hanging over it, and you had to jump into the air duct and up to get around it or something like that. And all the air ducts before, they were all completely black, but they were short enough that I just had to do one turn and then I would just go towards the light. But in this air duct, there was a lot of turns, and I couldn't see anything. So, like, I moved around in the air duct, in the black air duct, for like 20 minutes, and I just couldn't figure out how to get out. I couldn't figure out if I was making any progress. And the only thing I would do was have my crowbar out and swinging. And if I heard it hitting metal, I knew I was staring at a wall. But, like, I couldn't tell if I was going in circle or anything, or just, like, backtracking. So then I ended up having to, like, figure out, because I was going to try to play this game without a flashlight, because I was like, I don't know how to fix a computer, like, issue or a game issue. But then it was, like, telling you about drivers and making sure this setting on your, and I was like, I have no idea how to do any of that. And I ended up figuring out or finding a thing that told me how to fix it, and then I did it, and then I was good after that. But yeah, for the first about 6 hours, like, and I think maybe that's why I was so frustrated with the game in the beginning, was because I didn't feel like I was making that much progress, and part of it because the game was so dark for me, and I just couldn't tell what was going on.
I can't imagine what it must have been like to go through Office Complex, because the game kind of like that specific part of the game where you mostly just fight the head crab scientists, and you only have the one gun. That I don't know about you guys, but it gave me more of like I guess like a survival game, more than just an action game. And the flashlight is what kind of like helps you get through everything.
Yeah, so like one of the things that I really, and I don't know if this is specific to, I'm assuming it's a Half-Life thing and not a Black Mesa thing, and it's just as a proxy because this game is a remake or whatever, that it also deals with it. But there are so many instances of this game that remind me of other Valve games. The whole like weapon, like the way you select your weapons, and like the flashlight, and just like running through these dark corridors that are super cramped, really reminded me of Left 4 Dead. The whole situation when you're in the sewer, like the poop water, like that whole section like reminds me of like being in the back channels of like Aperture Science and Portal 2 specifically.
Yeah.
When you're just like behind the scenes, there's no combat, there's no action going on, but there's a lot of puzzling and platforming going on. Yeah. And then there was a couple of sections where, like, at the end of the game when you're outside and you're like going through a window and dropping, like you're on top of a building and you have to jump onto like the AC unit on the side of a building and then another AC unit to drop down to the ground, also reminded me of sections of Left 4 Dead as well, when you're getting out of buildings. And like there's just so many moments where I was like, wow, like this game really did like bring about all these other things that and it was just crazy to like have like that happen.
And
like
that's why that's why I wanted to play this game again, because it's like a staple formula.
The sentry guns, like the way those were reminding me of the sentry guns in Aperture Science and Portal. Yeah. The teleporting section, that whole puzzle reminded me. The way you die, there was so much in this game where I was like, wow, this game really did birth this entire like. This entire like I don't even know like library.
It's like
a
snapshot. It's like an era of PC gaming that kind of got lost because Valve is not doing games anymore. It's just like this like formula, like you said, like it just reminds you of a bunch of other Valve games because they all like just the physics of it all, jumping on boxes, like
it has that Valve feel of like you're running really fast with the gun, like on like roll like I'm. Like we always said for Half-Life or for Left 4 Dead, it was like I feel like I'm ice skating with a gun in my hand because of like how fast you move and how quickly you cover ground.
Yeah, I 100% get that, and I felt super like nostalgic for a second there because it just took me back to when I actually got the orange box, like that 2008, 2007 PC gaming era, which for me that's when I first got my gaming PC for the first time. Like right in the middle of high school, I got the orange box. I actually had a decent PC, and that's when I started like I got into Steam and all these games and like playing this fan made version of what like started it all, it does feel like it could be a part of the orange box, you know?
Definitely, definitely.
It's like signature, good. Just it's not even. I don't know. Did you guys find the game hard? Because it's not that hard. It's annoying, but it's not hard. You know, hard would be like I don't know, like Demon Souls or Dead Souls or something. It wasn't hard for me that much. There were some parts that you were just like, you have like less than ideal circumstances, and that's when you die.
When the game saves you with low life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, what do you think, Trevor? Like, were there any parts that kind of tripped you up or you were stuck at, or things that you just didn't really care for, sections of the game?
Only instances where I didn't know what I was doing, and it was kind of like a life or death situation. Like the first time you're playing with the water valves, and you have to turn the water on, and then you have to get to the ladder before the water, before you drown, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I need to swim somewhere, but I really needed to go up to the ladder that you can reach once the water gets high enough.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm swimming around,
looking for something,
thinking they've set these those enemies, the ones with the long tails hanging down that catch you,
the ceiling ones.
I'm thinking they put those as obstacles for you to run into once you're swimming, because they're easy to avoid when you're on foot, but when you're swimming they're a little bit harder. So I'm thinking that was the objective there, because that was a little more challenging that way. But I really didn't have to do all that. All I had to do was go for the ladder. There were just situations like that were where I mostly died at. As far as the combat, it wasn't the easiest game, but it definitely wasn't the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know for me, the combat was difficult when like the assassins. That was tricky.
Horrible. Yeah, that's what.
And then another part that I didn't really care for was the there was two parts. There was one that Silo, the little tentacle monster.
Oh, dude, I was about to tell you about that part. That's like my least favorite part.
Just because of like I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, but also this monster is just bodying me when I, am out here. And then when you have to fight the helicopter on the dam, I didn't really like that part either.
Oh, that you mean? Wait, hold on.
When you're trying to go across that long bridge and you get the laser gun and
you fought the helicopter?
Yeah.
You beat the helicopter?
Yeah.
Wow, you're like evil right now. Like I could not deal with that part.
You just run?
All right. You just have to open the sewer and you just go through the sewer. I didn't bother. I died at least like 10 times at that part as well. Like the helicopter would just body me. You killed it with the energy gun, right?
Yeah, the energy gun. Because this was before you had the rocket launcher.
How did you do that with your pad on such? I don't know, man.
I just practiced, dude.
Oh my god. Okay.
There was times when I felt like I hit it and it didn't take any damage, but there was times where I got him, and it took me a couple of tries, but I ended up killing it. And then it was a lot easier with the rocket launcher, obviously, because you could do the laser sight. But it took me a couple of tries with the laser gun, but I was able to kill it.
Nah, I just flicked the switch and threw myself in the water. I didn't even bother to kill the fish. I was like, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this.
I didn't know I didn't know, because I tried to run down because I didn't know you had to get in the water. So I just tried to run down the bridge, but there was enemies there, and the helicopter was still shooting at me. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to have to kill this helicopter, and then I can deal with the dudes on the bridge. So I kind of hid out in that building and stayed in there.
Oh, so that's smart. See, that's a mark of a good player. You know what I did? I made a run for it.
And jumped in the water like a scrub.
No, all I did, the two guards that are behind the sand barricade, I just threw a grenade, like the machine gun grenade that you use, the right click one.
Yeah.
So they just blew up. I ran, the bridge fell, I got on, I pushed the button, and I left. I was like, I don't want to deal with this. Yeah, man, that helicopter was so hard. I'm impressed that you were able to do that on a controller.
Yeah.
for me, the worst part of the game is the blast pit. The tentacle monster, I cannot deal with the tentacle monster.
It's hard.
That part of the game is a concentration of everything that's bad. Not only was the tentacle monster glitchy, I felt like he was glitchy. Like, I couldn't tell his patterns. Like, he was something like he would like hit twice, and then I was like, okay, now this is my time. Then he would hit again in the middle of me running.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, for sure, I was able to go there. And then sometimes it would either like hurt me for 50 health, sometimes for just 5 health. I still don't know.
Oh, it wasn't consistent either. Yep.
And then that part also has a problem where the guard that tells you, hey, we gotta kill this tentacle monster, he doesn't actually tell you that you have to activate the fuel, I guess, whatever, and then you have to go to the other part to do that other thing, to then go up and press the button to set it on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So all that thing, that was all Gordon Freeman there, that if you were able to do that by yourself on a pad, I still can't get over you beating this game on a pad. Okay, that's impressive.
I'm a pad monster.
That's a pad monster. Yeah, a pad warrior. Okay, so that's my least favorite part of the game. The blast pit is my least favorite part.
All right.
I don't know about you guys.
Did you have anything else, Trevor? I know we kind of cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. As far as difficulty, that's really the only thing I can remember. Like, as far as the enemies, they weren't really that bad.
What was your least favorite chapter?
Oh, I don't know chapters.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you divide this game into chapters?
Oh, I don't know.
There's definitely chapters, because there's when the what's it called comes up, the name of the they name them, but
they name the chapters, and then it changes setting.
Yeah,
like you start in the lab, and then the lab breaks up, and then the office, then the warehouse where you fight the army, and then you get to the blast pit.
It was probably the first chapter, just because of how slow it was. Because once I did get to that, the big twist in the game where, those guys knock you out, that was when I started getting really into the story. Other than that, It was a little slow. Like, all the NPCs sounded the same. So I was ready for something to happen, with the story, to kind of get it going. But
and believe it or not, it was worse on the first game, because in this game they actually made an attempt to bring some characters from 2 to the beginning of the game, and they tried to use different models and dialogue options, but it was way worse on the first Half-Life game. So imagine that, and I still don't think they did a good job overall compared to the second one, because the second game you actually grow attached to the NPCs and the other friends that you meet along the way, but in this one you only really care about yourself.
I think probably my least favorite chapter is probably the same one you were just talking about, the little silo monster. I didn't really care for that dude.
Yeah, I hated that part. My favorite part is the part before that. It's named We Got Hostiles, so that's when you first
fight the soldiers, right?
When you first fight the military. And I love the music. I don't know, my settings were super high for the music. Sometimes the music was uncomfortably loud, but the music in this game, I was all over it.
Yeah. We were actually listening. I was listening to some of the music. It's normally when I play a game, I'm taking notes, and what I'll do is I'll do an asterisk at I'm playing the game, and then it's this thing happened, and this music is going, and I like this music, so I just do an asterisk and just describe what's going on. And I literally have 7 different sections where I did an asterisk and wrote I really like this song. So normally that's how I gauge if a game, or this is for me anyways, that's how I gauge if a game has good music, is how many of these asterisks I put down. And not to say that it's the only thing, but sometimes I'm not even aware there's music in the game because it's so subtle, and it definitely it hits in this game, and it's good.
This game, I like that it does have like that urgent you're a badass feel, you know, like
Yes.
when the music cues up, you know shit is about to go down. There's a specific part that I loved in this game. Like it made me like oh my god, I would have made an asterisk for that part as well, which is when you're in the lobby of one of the facilities, and in this lobby the scientists just they all like you talk with the scientists. You go outside to the lobby of like the reception office of whatever building this is, and the military just crashes through the windows, crashes through the doors, through the ceiling, and everything's going down, and you're in the middle of everything, and you're just taking damage, and the music cues up, and it's go time now, you know, and oh my god, those are like super high points of the game for me, you know.
I was gonna say. Yeah, there was a couple parts where I was like, "Yo, this music right now is going like the song. The standout one for me was when you get the suit and you put the suit on, then you like step out, and then it's just like a drum track, and it's hitting, and that's definitely going to be one of our songs that we're playing on this episode. So.
It's like the music goes, and then you see all the information of the suit in your heads-up display.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't remember if that was in the first one, but that is so satisfying. Yeah, I agree with you that one. Yeah.
What was your favorite chapter or section of the game, Trevor? And you said the chat. Actually, I might have. You said the office complex, right?
No, I think he hates the office complex.
Oh.
Well, as far as like, I guess combat, that was like the slowest one.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite, man, I'm trying to remember exactly what the names of the chapters.
No, you don't have to say the names.
Explain what happened.
Like just the setting or like the enemies.
I don't know. The most satisfying one was once you get the shotgun and you're able to, like, I know I use it a lot on those like the dog enemies.
Yeah,
hounds
eyes.
That was fun because you could be a little bit more mobile. Because some of the other enemies, I would immediately try to find something to hide behind, but with those, you could kind of come at them straight on. But I know that was still kind of early on in the game. I'm trying to think of. I know we were talking about music, but the part where you're on the rails.
Oh
yeah,
that part was fun.
That part is way longer in this game. They expanded that part, the rails one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Man, I never slowed down either. I just was like full speed ahead.
Like I wasn't even expecting like a part of the game to be like that.
Like the little train. Yeah. I they definitely made that part way better, and that was really enjoyable for me as well. I didn't think, because I usually hate those kinds of stages in video games. I hate where you're just sitting and it's more like a
on rails
like
stuff.
Like an on rails, like the Star Wars arcade game, you know. It's cool when it's designed for that, but when you let me move around and then you suddenly don't let me move and I have to like basically play House of the Dead here or Time Crisis or whatever, I don't like that. But in this game, I thought they did it very well because you're not actually bound to the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, for the end of the game, I got stuck behind like 3 Vortigons. So I just got out of the car and made a run for it, and I passed the last chapter, the last part of that rail system. I just did it on foot. Yeah.
I think so. What was your favorite part then, Jonas?
My favorite part was it's after the office complex when you first meet the military.
Oh, okay.
That's 100% like. Well, it's between. Yeah, I think it's that one. I really like when you go outside after you blow up the helicopter, like that whole part of the game after you get knocked out, and you kind of like have to go through what's going on with getting all your stuff back, and you're actually seeing the facility from the outside, and you see the tanks and stuff like that. I love that part. On the first one, I liked it a lot, but in this specific game, like I'm talking about the Black Mesa, the the strongest impression for me was when I first meet the military, when they kill the scientists, like just like that, like oh, like he's trying to talk to them, and he's like he gets shot, and that's when you realize, oh, they're not actually the good guys, so you kill them, you know.
Actually, so the first time I ran down with the guy and he got shot, and then I wasn't expecting it, so then I got shot and I died. So then the next time he came in and I shot him before he could kill the soldier, or before he could kill the scientist.
That's good guy Marcus there. Yeah, no, I was too slow. He did not survive under my watch. Yeah.
I think my favorite part was either what part? It was. I really, really like the trip mine puzzle. With the platforming, where you're just in that big warehouse with all those trip mines, and you gotta have to maneuver around.
Like something out of Mission Impossible.
Exactly. I really like that part, or the portal puzzle section. Really liked, like Trevor. I don't know how you feel about this game, and we'll get to it because we're about to wrap this up. But
yeah,
I definitely think you need to at least play until the portal puzzle part, because that part was super dope to me.
You like all the parts that I'm really bad at.
I like the parts that there was no combat. All right. Well, yeah. The only other thing I was gonna say, and I forgot to bring this up, was I remember specifically when you were launching the rocket and you were going up those different levels and there's enemies. I felt like the enemies there were a little bit bullet spongy with the shotgun, where sometimes it would take 2 or 3 shots to kill them.
Wait, which ones? Which ones?
They're just the regular soldiers.
Oh, okay, I get it, yeah.
And I don't know, like I'm not really I dislike bullet spongy enemies, and I was getting that vibe a little bit, specifically at that section. I would say overall, I felt like the enemies could take a little bit more damage than I felt like they should have, but ultimately, like, it's all good. But I felt like specifically with the shotgun at that section, I was like, yo, these dudes are taking a lot of
yeah. I would hit them point blank with the shotgun. Sometimes they wouldn't die.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What? You know,
or you do the double. I would do the double shot, and sometimes they wouldn't explode, and I'd have to shoot a single one. And I'm like, why do I got to use 3 shots to kill these guys?
Yeah, I never used a double shot.
Oh, I used it all the time.
See, I that's why I basically beat the game with the revolver, because that's why I was trying to go for headshots so often, because I was just thinking like the risk reward between getting the headshot and just using 1 bullet versus missing and having to use 3 instead, or worse, maybe 5 or 6. So yeah, I was definitely going for the headshots because the enemies are super bullet spongy, especially the at that part near like the soldiers closer to the end. They just get this massive buff that I just, you know, the Vortigons and the Sen aliens, they sort of stay the same, but the military does know the matchup and they come prepared.
They do know the matchup for sure. Yeah. So I guess, do we have anything else game wise we need to talk about, or are we going to talk about just ultimately how do we like the game?
I think we've talked about.
All right.
I've gotten everything out of my system, I think.
Oh, I guess the only last thing is, how did you feel about the last boss, that section? Because I didn't really care for it. I liked the concept, and I thought it was a really cool way. But like, man, like it was difficult, and I guess I did enjoy that. But it was just like, I don't like being overwhelmed with enemies, because I'm kind of like, I want to kill everything, and it kind of felt like there's no way you could have done that, and you were supposed to feel overwhelmed. And so there was a couple of times where like there was one time where I ran and tried to jump into the portal, and I literally missed it and died.
Oh, dude. After all that.
I know. So like, yeah, like I just felt, oftentimes I felt super like overwhelmed, and I was just like, man, I really want to kill everybody, but I don't have enough ammo or life, and like I'm not even in a good position to jump down into the portal, and it was like, GG's. In my
head canon, I didn't want to leave my guy that was helping me out all alone with all these monsters, so I was trying to kill everyone, but it was just so overwhelming that I was just like, sacrifices must be made. So I just jumped, and I'm pretty sure my home is dead, but it's a worthy sacrifice.
He sacrificed himself so you could make it.
See, for me, confession time, I thought that because the game actually came out on Steam officially and not through a mod, I had the impression that the extent was completed. So when I got into the portal, I was expecting a whole nother part of the game to happen. So it didn't feel like a final thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, at least. Especially because I was also tracking my progress using when you go to a new game, you can see the chapter names and what chapter you're currently at, because you can start a new game on a future chapter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I since this game ends on chapter 15, but there's 5 more chapters that are shown on the HUD, on the interface or whatever. So I was expecting
I didn't even check that.
Yeah, I was expecting a whole nother part of the game, but it wasn't there. So it didn't feel like a last boss to me. I do remember because I was expecting the boss to be the mother brain thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's like another part of the game that I'm not like. I got on the website while we were talking here, and I saw screenshots, and I'm like, oh my god, I
can't wait.
When are you? Because
10 more years.
Exactly. I guess like sort of like impression wise, this game, I know like it's not like I'm sorry if you guys didn't like go rave at it as much as I am. I feel like the game definitely is more about feeling and like what actually happens, other than like the gameplay / story aspect of it. It's very like depending on the setting and the music and like the actions of the characters around you, not necessarily like what would traditionally be like high moments in a cutscene,
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I feel. Like I like the whole feeling of me being a scientist. I'm in a lab, I'm trying to escape, and all odds are against me, So that's my pull into the game. That's why I had to come back to it, because it's been a while since I played just a normal single player first person shooter. It's been like I cannot even remember the last time I played a first person shooter on PC single player style, So I feel like satisfied. I don't know about you guys.
So ultimately, Trevor, what would you say about this game? Like, what would you said 1 through 10, Jonas? Is that what you were?
Yeah, 1 through 10. That's my rating system.
I'm trying to remember what I gave Chronicles of Riddick.
You can give it like a 2. It's fine.
I would put it right under Chronicles of Riddick.
Damn.
No,
I don't remember.
Chronicles of Riddick was good.
Oh, you were the one that liked it.
I think Chronicles of Riddick had much better dialogue, even though y'all were hating on the dialogue. But no, this game was fun. I would give it. It's a solid 7. I would even give it an 8, just because I wasn't expecting it to do some of the things that it did. Like when it drops you in with a crowbar. Like I've seen some like screenshots of the game, and I know the main character uses like a crowbar in it in Half-Life 2. So when they drop me in with the crowbar, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be using this throughout most of the game. But then it gives you other weapons and mines and other equipment. And then even the different enemy types were cool too. And then even the level design was really good in this game. So if it's faithful to the original game, that's even more impressive that they had level design like that when the original game came out
in '98.
So
okay, so the reason why I was laughing, Trevor, is because I looked at your list of 2018 because I have it saved on my phone, and you said you liked it less than Chronicles of Riddick. Behind it, right?
Dang, I did put that way down on my list.
You put it at number 11, and you put it in front of Ninja Gaiden, which I know you didn't like. So he's saying, like, I guess it's on the edge of games that I like. I guess it's fine.
I mean, it is. I would
Okay, I have put it like this: are you at all interested in playing Half-Life 2 now that you? Or I mean, I know you haven't finished the game. Do you intend to finish the game?
I'll probably finish it.
Okay.
Just because I know what's coming up. Like as far as the end of the game, and I've always wanted to play Half-Life 2, just because of what I've heard about the game. So before I do play Half-Life 2, I will most definitely finish Black Mesa.
Gotcha. And then if that's the case, then I think that's more important. It's not necessarily how much you like this game, but like, are you at least interested enough in seeing the series out or whatever? So
yeah, and especially now that I know it's kind of related to Portal 2, that makes me even more interested in looking at, because Portal doesn't have like a lot of lore.
It's more fleshed out in the second one. Well, not fleshed out. You definitely get more of it in the second one. Yeah. Because the setting.
So have you played? Sorry if you mentioned this in the start of the episode. Did you play the other Half-Life games or just Portal?
No, just Portal.
All right, so cool. It's because you want to play the Half-Life games and then you jump in. Portal 2 like connects really nicely, you know. But you got you got a bunch of more content if you decide to stick around with the franchise, because you got Half-Life 2, then Episode 1. And then Episode 2. Episode 1's pretty short. Episode 2 is way longer. It's like sort of like almost as long as this game. So you got some content ahead of you.
The one thing I will say, I was talking to Dante. I don't remember there being as many enemies in Half-Life 2 as this game.
No, because you gotta have, because the Vortigons, whatever. Spoilers. The Vortigons are not actually bad. Like, the aliens are not actually bad.
Yeah.
They're just being controlled by Mother Brain, right?
Yeah.
So after that, when you get to the second game, you're not actually fighting all these different types of aliens. You're just fighting the Combine, which are another alien, but they're like human-like aliens from the third dimension. But they all look the same because they're all wearing like stormtrooper-like equipment.
Well, you know? That and like because I remember the head crabs, I remember the zombies, and I remember the aliens that stick on the ceiling and pull you up. But I didn't remember anything. Like, I was like, "Yo, who are these bulwarks? Who are these hound eyes?" I remember the Vortigots, but I was like, I don't remember killing them in the last game. So
why am I killing them now?
yeah. So I was just like, oh, and then like there's no. I don't remember there being assassins. I don't remember those enemies that have the homing weapons. I don't remember the little fish monsters. Yeah, there was just a lot more enemies in this game.
Yeah, that's a plus that this game has over the second one, I think. Even though the Combine are super badass to fight against, but you definitely have the variety, because it does feel like it's a war and you're in the middle.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, for me, I think I would say this game is probably, I would say like a 6.5 or 7. It definitely makes some things make a little bit more. I won't even say make a little bit more sense, but set some context to some of the stuff that I have seen, and I am interested in, like, I did play Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2, and I'm like, should I recheck these games out? It's been like, I think 8 or 9 years since I last played them, so like, should I check them out again? So I don't know. I definitely have thought about checking those games out again. But yeah, there was just like, for me, like, and maybe again, like, take this with a grain of salt because I played it on a controller, but like, the combat was a little bit finicky for me. Like, enemies seemed kind of bullet spongy, which I didn't really care for. I just really wasn't, besides the helicopter, I guess, I really wasn't accurate fighting enemies, and I didn't really care for, I just wasn't in the mindset to play a game where there was no objectives, and maybe things would be a little bit easier if I were to play it again, and like, I kind of have an idea of what I need to do. And then also dealing with that technical difficulty in the beginning kind of soured me a little bit, and I just felt like, I don't know, like, but there are definitely highlights. I really, really dug the puzzling in this game. And I really, like me and Jonas kind of alluded to earlier, I really like the points in the game where it pays homage, or not even homage, but it's like you can see the groundwork for future games that they did come out with. So it made me nostalgic for Valve games, and I really dug that.
I'm happy that the reason I want those highlights, that makes me glad, because it just like conveys to me that you those highlights are like what kind of like make the game for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like those high points of the game kind of like overthrow, because the game is definitely not perfect. Even the first one had a lot of like what is going on here, but just the highlight moments and just the figuring it out kind of feels good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have to give it a rating, right?
10.
Nah. I'll give it a 9 though, because and I still think it's the best Half-Life game, because like I said, it's like you take everything that made 1 work, when you put it on the engine of 2, that's really a formula you can't really F up at all, you know?
You know what? So you take that 9 and you subtract the gravity gun and dog and Alex, and then you equal 7.
I gave it a 9. I am kind of annoyed. I'm kind of annoyed that I got the game and the Xen is not finished. I don't know why I was under the impression that part was going to be in the game, because I guess it's been so long since the game came out, and everybody was saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the Xen to come out. I can't wait for that to come out. It's gonna be like its own game." Whereas now that the game came out, I paid whatever it was to buy it, and it's still not done. I'm like, why? I want to play that part, you know. So that's frustrating. Actually, I'll give it an 8.5 because I cannot wait until the Xen comes out. Once that comes out, if it's good, I'll give it a 9. All right.
Before it even comes out.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that the high points came through. For you guys, it feels like it's like a summer blockbuster movie where you're gonna see it once, but not really bother to see again, right? This is like the Avengers 2 of Half-Life games.
That is exactly it for us. And Jonas is like, "Yo, this is Iron Man 1. I got to see the rest of the series play out."
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah. I still think it's a sick game. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then we'll wrap up this episode then. So I have the question: if you guys could play any fan-made remake of a game, what game would it be? And so it doesn't necessarily have to be a modern game or new game or whatever, but kind of like I think I'm gonna lean towards a game that would be something like this, where it's like, okay, like they could definitely not modernize it, but maybe make the game look a little bit better.
It's doable.
Touch it up, but maybe add some things that they add later on to the series. Maybe add some characters that pop up later on if it is a game that is a series. Maybe add a couple of missions and things like that. I definitely have a game in mind, but I kind of want to hear what you guys have to say.
Which one?
You can go first, Jonas.
No, I thought you were gonna say one.
Oh.
Okay, so you want me to like, I mean, a game that could realistically be remade, right? Because like something that's still achievable by fans. Yeah. So I cannot. I was trying to think of a game that maybe everybody can relate to, but there's this one game in my childhood that's called Zool. Do you guys remember that game?
How do you spell it?
Cool. So this is a game.
Wait, Cool?
Yeah.
Cool?
Zool with a Z, like.
Oh, Z. I thought you said C. I'm like, what?
Zool. So you basically control a ninja in a candy world. It's the hypest game for the Atari Jaguar. Okay. And I would love to see a modern take on this game. Either this game or Bubsy. Do you guys ever play Bubsy?
I've heard of it.
I've never played it.
It sucks, but it's something that... there's a new one. Oh,
there is a new one. They're coming out with a third one.
Oh, that's horrible.
I heard the second one is bad too. So
Yeah, basically either Soul or there's this other game that was a Digimon RPG game. Digimon World, I think it was called.
So
And
you're taking like you want them to remake the game for modern platforms, or like, because like these are 2D games that you're pointing out, right?
Well, Soul is a 2D game. But since I know that Soul isn't like a game that I played it on the Atari Jaguar that my grandma had, so I know that there's probably like 3 people that played that game. So if not that game, there's a game called Digimon World, where it was like, how do I explain this? Oh my god, it's literally Harvest Moon in Digimon, where you actually like walk around this world with your Digimon, and it's like it kind of came out in the same PlayStation era where the graphics were really bad, but the gameplay was really good. You know what I mean, right? Where there was this one part of gaming history where everything was 3D, but it was bad 3D. So this Digimon game, it was so good back then. You would have to feed it. Your Digimon would poop. Your Digimon would fight. It would level up. It would evolve. I want that game on a modern platform. So Digimon World. I'll stay with Digimon World. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you guys? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with the first Assassin's Creed.
Oh wow.
I
know you love that game, right?
Well, I didn't play the first one until after I played the second one.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was kind of disappointed in the repetitiveness.
I loved it.
But if it were to be remade, which I hope they do at some point, because I don't think it's been remastered. But
I think, man, they really missed out on that because the 10-year anniversary was 2017.
Yeah. I think
they rather make new games.
Well, they've remastered.
They took breaks.
2 and
I'm guessing
Brotherhood and Revelations.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Brotherhood.
But yeah, I don't know why they don't want to touch 1. But if I would prefer, if another, it doesn't even have to be Ubisoft, but another studio from Ubisoft. It
was supposed to be fan made, quote unquote. That was the spirit of the question.
Yeah.
And I think the fans would do it better justice for Desmond.
So maybe one of the reasons why they haven't is because it was Altair and not what's the guy in the second one?
Ezio,
and Ezio was way more of a likable character. I remember Altair. A lot of people's complaints about him is he was kind of stale. And he was also like I think if I don't remember correctly, he was a really accomplished assassin at that point. And I think Ezio, you got to see him from the beginning, so you kind of felt like you were part of his journey of becoming a good assassin. But I played Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. Those are the only 2 I've played, and I really like. I mean, 2 is a better game by far, but I really, really like 1, and it was very repetitive, but I was at that point in life where I had nothing but time, and so it was definitely one of those games where I just dropped into the world, and I killed a lot of time in that game, just roaming around and doing a lot of the missions and doing the collectibles and all that stuff. So I saw a large, I think I like almost 100% that game and got all the achievements almost.
Yeah. But yeah, I like to see that one just because I want to see it done so that the story better connects to what they're trying to do with the newer Assassin's Creed games. Because like the first few games, they were trying to keep them a lot more historically accurate. Whereas now, I mean, it's kind of wide open. You've got chocobos running around in the desert. So
I've never played an Assassin's Creed game.
I was gonna say too that they have their, I don't know. I've only played the first.
Don't get me
2.
wrong. I think they look cool, and the impression that I have of that franchise is the guy throwing himself off the church into the truck full of
hay. Yeah.
That's all I know about Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
The one thing I would say too is at least with that is like that's the start of the Desmond story, and I think he even more so than the Assassins is like the main, or at one point he was the main part of the story. So like it would be cool to like maybe flesh out that beginning game a little bit. So I think that is a good answer. Well, so one of my answers is it doesn't really count because they are coming out with a second one, but I would have said Beyond Good and Evil. Also would have said Psychonauts. But my actual answer, and I it's Mass Effect, man.
Dude, I would love a remake of Mass Effect.
Especially now that they've come out with like a bad Mass Effect, and like the EA is, our BioWare is kind of not doing so good. Like, can you imagine like a Mass Effect if they brought some of the, like, even just something simple of bringing some of the races from the later games into the original Mass Effect? So like you could have like a Batarian like in the game, or like the Geth as teammates, or like even if they just show up as NPCs, and that could be really cool. But like even just like if they tweaked Mass Effect 1 and it gave it the combat from the later games,
dude,
like like there's a lot that they could, like, because I think
do not mess with Mass Effect 1's combat, alright? That game is perfect, man. Mass Effect 1 is perfect.
Listen, I 1000% agree with you. But I'm saying, as far as like, if you wanted to sell this to people,
yeah, I know, I got you. Yeah.
Because I like Mass Effect 1 better than Mass Effect 2.
Well, if it's fan made, you can have what the fans actually want. You know what I mean? So,
well, we're not going to sit here and pretend that Mass Effect 2 isn't more popular than Mass Effect 1. We are the hipsters in on this.
It's funny that you say that you would pick Mass Effect, because now I'm thinking, wow, I effed up with my answer. I would definitely pick Knights of the Old Republic instead.
The first one?
The first or second one, they're both really good. They both have really bad graphics, and I would like to see them have the Black Mesa treatment.
Honestly, you could pretty much pick any BioWare game, because like I think the first Dragon Age I would probably also include. I played Knights of the Old Republic, the first one, for like an hour. I didn't really like that. All right, so I'm not a Star Wars fan, so that's fine. That wasn't the draw for me. But like I started playing the game, and I immediately fell off because you couldn't take control of, like, you just told your character to do something and then you watch it happen. So I really like Dragon Age and I really like Mass Effect because you were the one actually controlling, doing the attacking. And I really like Dragon Age because unlike in because I played Mass Effect first and then Dragon Age. And in Mass Effect, Trevor, you like tell your teammates like, here, go here, and then you just tell them to shoot and they shoot. Whereas in Dragon Age, you play your character, but then you could also play the teammates, so you could like literally switch to them and then do their attacks. And so that was really cool, because like you could tell them the AI to do something and they would do it, but you could also take control of them too. And I think that would be really cool in Mass Effect, because like in Mass Effect you choose one class and then your teammates are whatever else to complement you or whatever. But like that would have been a cool way to kind of see like, what does the soldier class do, or what does the biotic or the adept class do? Because in Mass Effect, I only knew, like, I picked, I can't even remember what is the sniper class called? What Garrus is?
I don't even remember.
But like that was the class I always picked, because that's like, I was like a sniper and I have a little bit of biotics, that's cool. And then it wasn't until later on that I wanted to get like, I made other characters and got to experiment with the other stuff. Whereas when I played Dragon Age, and I just beat the game once, but I felt like I had a better idea of what all the classes did, because I got to play, my character was a warrior, and I got to play as my teammate that was a mage, or as my teammate that was a rogue, or whatever. So I got to see what the other classes got to do.
Man, I think...
Freaking Mass Effect oh
today.
My god, dude!
I think I'm gonna download Mass Effect right now, for real.
But like, can you imagine? Like, I mean, it's the original story, and then they can maybe throw in like some of the like, oh, like you just happen across, like you see Jacob, and like he's just like a background character or something, or like freaking Morden on Vermeer.
What if we can play Mass Effect 1 with the female Shepard from the other games? You know, wait, could you do that?
Yeah,
It wasn't the same.
You could play Mass Effect 1 with a female shepherd.
But like, I remember like specifically the female shepherds of the other games were like, the dialogue would change, like the story would change a little bit. I don't
know if that was that. Yeah, I don't think that much changed in the first one. I don't really think it was that big of a deal until the third one, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe I'll just play Mass Effect this time as a girl instead of.
Or like if you remember in the second one where like you would see a cutscene and then you could do like a Paragon or Renegade moment in the middle of the cutscene. Like if you could do that, and if they brought that element to the let's do it.
Let's make the Kickstarter right now.
So yeah, that's my answer. Man, this was a long episode.
This was a long episode. Sorry.
Yeah, we haven't had a long episode for a while, so it's good to break that. So yeah, do you guys got any final thoughts for Black Mesa?
I'm just glad this game even exists. The Half-Life fans, I guess, have been neglected even more than the Marvel vs. Capcom fans. So, yeah, I'm just saying. It's been a while. I hate that everything that I like gets no updates. So I'm glad that this can live on a fan side of things, and it gives me hope that we can see Episode 3 as a fan mod instead of, waiting for Valve to do whatever they want to do. And also, like, even the fact that this got made without getting shut down and it being as good as it is, considering it was like just an act of love for the franchise, it just reminds me of other fan-made games that have to get shut down because of the company, like the Chrono Trigger remake. I don't know if you heard about that game, but they were making a Chrono Trigger remake from scratch and Square Enix shut it off, and that was years ago. Yeah, and sometimes like I feel lucky that the game even exists, like it's even there.
Okay, you got anything, Trevor?
No, I think that's it.
All right,
Jonas,
the only thing I gotta say is
it all.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on, Jonas. I this wouldn't have been a game that I don't think any of us would have chosen. Not that it was bad or anything like that, but just I don't know. I could tell at least maybe Greg. Also, none of us are like really, really big Half-Life fans.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention, like, Greg he wanted to be here, but he wasn't able to be here because he's having some family stuff. So just keep him and his family in your thoughts.
For sure.
But where can people find you at, Trevor?
You can find me on Pandora and other surrounding planets. As I'm playing Borderlands 3. You can find me at Lyric Unsung on Xbox Live.
Where can people find you at, Jonas?
You can really just hit me up on Twitter at LolRaid, or if you just send me a DM there. I'm looking for friends to play Dota. So
gross.
I'm using this episode as an ad. If you want to play Dota with me, hit me up, please.
Do you stream at all?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm probably gonna start streaming again. I saw that you posted that people don't stream Into the Breach enough.
Oh my god.
But I kind of want to stream FTL again. So you can find me on Twitch. My ID is RaidBot on Twitch. And I usually stream either fighting games or indie games. So for sure, I'm thank you for inviting me, by the way. Like it was so fun. It was a great excuse to play Black Mesa, and I know where you guys are coming from, because if you're not like a super into the franchise thing, the game can be a little bit like off-putting. But hey, man, I enjoyed it, so I'm happy. I'm happy with the game, and I really can't just wait until whatever more content comes out for it.
Gotcha. And so you play indie games. We are trying to up our amount of bonus casts. So we might have to bring you on for a bonus cast so we can hit our 5 for the year.
You can always hit me up, and this is we were already on another podcast, and
Yeah.
it feels pretty cool to hang out with you again, man. For real.
Yeah, man. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter on Potato Salad, or you can find me probably in Jonas's stream if he's playing FTL or Into the Breach. So yeah. Well, with that, we are Missed Checkpoints and we're out. Peace. I didn't realize till after we just finished recording that I forgot to reveal the games. So let me go ahead and reveal that so you guys aren't left hanging. So the Black Mesa episode concludes September, the month of September. So for October, it's going to be my month. And then the two games that I chose are 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand, and Barkley, Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. And I think we're going to play Barkley first. So reverse that order. First is Barkley, Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. And then later on in the month, we'll play 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand. Then for the month of November, it's going to be Trevor's month. And he chose Luca, Born of a Dream. And then last but not least, Greg. He has the month of December, wrapping up 2019. And the game we have is Castlevania Lords of Shadow. So that's going to finish out 2019. We will probably try to have a couple of guests on. We really do like having people on. So if anybody is interested, we have a couple of people lined up for some of these games. But if you are interested, feel free to reach out to us on our Twitter or our Facebook. And just let us know. And then if there's any games that you're looking forward to us or would like to either be a part of or like to listen to us, also just drop us a line on either of those two modes of communication and just let us know what you look forward to us playing in 2020. All right, and with that, we are Missed Checkpoints, or me by myself. I'm Missed Checkpoints, and I'm out. Peace.